You wouldn't build a house without a foundation, so why try to build a business without one? Grow your contracting business and grow your mind with Growth Mindset Monday.
All right. Welcome back to the show. As you can see, I still don't have a background, but don't worry. By next week, I promise you, I will at least have a plant in the corner so it's not just this white static background. Progress over perfection. Remember that. Well, I'm really excited to be with you guys here on this beautiful Monday across this great country of ours. I know last week was a little hectic, especially for you guys in the southeastern United States, dealing with another hurricane. I actually spent some time this last weekend in South Carolina, and I'm telling you, it's kind of crazy when you see the beautiful lush greenness of the trees and the grass, and you're rolling through the hills and whatnot. And then all of a sudden you come across this corner and there are trees down everywhere. And these massive trees, that have been around for 50, 60, 100 different years. So prayers and thoughts go out to those who've been affected by the hurricanes in Florida, in the Southeast U.S. My brother lives in North Carolina. Thank goodness for this round, he lives in just blanked on the name of it. Whatever. The capital, Raleigh. There we go. I knew I'd figure it out eventually. He lives in Raleigh. So he was on the other side of the state. Asheville really got hit hard, but they're sending resources out there to help the people out there as well. So if you're working any of these storms, again, keep your head on straight, make sure that you're expressing gratitude. And it is a difficult thing for a lot of people, but for you contractors, sometimes a blessing in disguise. So if you're here live with us, you guys know the drill. Drop your name, your business name, and where you're from, so we can make sure to give you a shout out. We got a couple people on the show already. We got Angelo giving the good old salute. We got Ryan McEntee with, he's a realtor, but I know he also does some remodeling and whatnot. Ryan, welcome to the show. And we got good old Mr. Reliable, Daniel's here with Noble Custom Glass and Mirror from Beaufort, Georgia. I wonder how far away you are from where I was. I was in Greenville, South Carolina. Ryan's with Key West Remodeling out of Orlando. Well, you guys might have gotten hit a little hard too. I know Disneyland shut down, which that's not a regular occurrence for sure. Well, I want to share a couple things that have come up over these last few weeks that I know will be super beneficial for you guys. We got Melissa from Tucson, Arizona, B&L Binzer and Home Services. Welcome to the show. We got Matt Bowen out of Douglas, Georgia. Welcome to the show. So I was talking to Justin, and for those of you guys that don't know who Justin is, he is the brains behind the operation. He's the creator, the founder, the CEO. Let's just stick some more titles on him, of Contractor Plus. So the very platform that you're using inside of your business. But we were talking behind the scenes about a few different things. And one of the things that we were talking about was people. And not just people on the street or potential clients. We were talking about people inside of the organization and some of the struggles and some of the other issues that come along with that. And that's kind of really going to be our focus today in our conversation. I'm going to share some insights from my own personal experience for you guys. And then hopefully, you guys can be able to take some of that stuff and apply it to your business. We got Matt says he's from, or Start to Finish, is the name of his business. We got Angel Nieves, Angel, I should say, from Nieves Bros Inc. Engineering, Concrete and Landscapes, San Francisco Bay. Welcome to the show. Angel, I met a gentleman, Joe, who's a deck builder out of the San Fran area. So I'll have to connect you with him for sure. Daniel says he's probably 1.5 to 2 hours away. So that's not too far, man. Next time I'm down there, I'll have to invite you over so we can chat a little bit. All right, let's get down to brass tacks, right? It's Monday. It's another Monday. It's in October. We're halfway through the month. We're now well deep into the fourth quarter of the year. Can you believe 2024? Man, it is coming to an end. And there's so many things that have happened, right? But the real question is, what has happened inside of your business? And yes, we've talked about, making sure that at least on a quarterly basis, you're doing some kind of in-depth planning session with your team. We've talked about the importance of targets and adjustments along the way, which don't worry, we'll have a real deep dive one of these weeks here coming up to kind of teach you that game at a different level. But there's an interesting thing that happens with growth, right? You will never grow past your capacity to lead. You will never grow past your capacity to lead. Now, why do I say that? Most of the customers that I work with, or clients that I work with, I should say, contractors, if you will, all have somewhere between 5 and 50 employees, right? Still considered a small business. I know some of you guys are like, wait a minute, it's me and 50 employees considered small? Yes, in the grand scheme of things, 50 employees is still considered small. So most of the people that I work with are between 5 and 50 employees. And what I've noticed across the board, right? These guys doing 20 million a year, these guys doing $1 million a year. What I've noticed across the board is that the businesses get stuck. They get stuck at certain points. And it's not because of a lack of leads. It's not because of a lack of marketing. It's not because of a lack of a capability to do the work or an understanding to do the work or finances. What it comes down to is the team and the team's ability to execute, right? I'm going through this right now. I was just telling Justin about this. I hired my first in-person admin assistant. Now I'm in the new office, and yeah, I'll give you guys a tour one of these days. Most of my workers, if you will, my team have all been either out of state or out of the country. Why? Because I really started ramping up when COVID hit, and all the rules and restrictions, and I was like, screw it, I'm not going to deal with it. So I have 3 people that are out of the country, and then I have 1 person that's in the country, my team of 4, up until last week when I hired my first in-person assistant. And it was sad and funny all at the same time. When she came in, we were actually running a 2-day workshop for some of our clients. And she came in and she's like, all right, what do you want me to do? And I looked at her and I said, I have no idea what I want you to do right now. I said, sit in the back, take it all in, help where you can help, but just take it all in, right? So I paid her for 2 days of attending my workshop. Now, mind you, everyone in the room was paying me, but I was paying her to just sit back there and watch, right? Now, is that the best way to manage a team? No. Is that the most productive way? No. Most efficient? No. And so what I was doing was what a lot of contractors get stuck in, right? They hire a person because they know they need a person. They have a general idea of what they want them to do, but because they haven't dialed it in, the person ends up becoming, more than anything, a tag along. And that's what Anna was with me for about a week. She was a tag along. And I knew in my mind, hey, I want her to help with client onboarding. I want her to help with, the back end of all the clients, of the workshops, the billing, client retention, I knew it, but I didn't have a way to communicate that over to her. Now, while I'm sharing this, I would love for you guys to drop in the chat, how many employees do you have right now? If it's just you, totally cool. If it's you and 5, 10, whatever it is. So go ahead and drop the number in the chat, right? How many employees do you currently have? And Daniel made a comment, yay, the leadership lid. You're right, John Maxwell. Love John Maxwell, great guy. So John Maxwell says the leadership lid, which is exactly what we said, right? You'll never be able to grow past your capacity to lead, okay? So as you guys are putting your team size in the chat, I want you guys to think about what I'm going to say right now, okay? I paid now Anna for 2 weeks. I paid her for 2 weeks. And as far as anything that she's been able to do on her own so far, the answer is nothing. Nothing, right? And again, I'm being fully transparent with you guys. Now, it isn't that the opportunity isn't there. It isn't that we're going to teach her. It's just I wasn't ready to the point that I thought that I was ready to lead, right? When we talk about roles and responsibilities, there's a reason that we talk about roles and responsibilities. It's because we want to be able to take those roles and responsibilities and hand them off to someone else. Now, if I was asked for a raise of hands, which we can't, at least not yet through technology, if I was asked for a raise of hands, how many of you have clear roles and responsibilities for every position inside of your organization, right? How many would say me? I could tell you that I would have, prior to last week, said me. But because it was all inside of here, all inside of my head. And so I thought that I had clear roles and responsibilities, but the truth is that I didn't. The truth is I was still 100% dependent on me. And so when Anna asked me, hey, where's your current client list? Hey, Where's the welcome email that you send your clients? How are you handling billing? What about your welcome packages? How are you preparing for the workshops? What about this? What about that? And she's asking me just a laundry list of really good questions that I realized that I had inside of my head and nowhere else. And what I realized is the hiring process is broken. The hiring process is broken because we spend way too much time hiring and not enough time making sure that not only are we hiring the right person, but we have the game plan for them to succeed lined out ahead of time. So I'm going to pause for a second. We got a couple of you that have chimed in. So Ryan says, just me. Melissa says 3 with me. Matt says 3 other than me. Daniel's got 12. And then we've got a couple folks that have just joined. David, DR Home Services, GC out of Morganville, New Jersey. Welcome to the show. And then Melissa says, just started working on that last month. It is hard to let go. Yes, so hard to let go. But that's what we want to talk about, right? Why is it so hard to let go? The real reason it's hard to let go is because you, in your mind, and most of the time you're right, but in your mind, you say, nobody will do it as good as me, which is true. Right? I'm not going to blow smoke and lie and put some mirrors up and go, oh, you'll always find that person that will do it better than you. You won't. You won't. We all want the person that will do it better than you, but they won't. And here's the other thing. This is the biggest issue that I see that contractors face. Most of you think that you're trying to find somebody just like you. If I could have somebody that was just like me, if I had a clone of myself, if I had somebody who could just do what I do, my life would be so much easier. No, it wouldn't. It would be hell. You would hate it because all of a sudden you would be faced with you, which is what everybody else has to face, right? The goal then is to find someone that can fill a hole, a gap, a role, a responsibility, not multiple. So I'm going to rewind things. You're probably like, wait a minute. I thought we wanted somebody that could help us out. Yes, you do. But you want somebody that's a specialist, somebody that's much better at you at one particular thing, not everything. Now, remember, we have different areas that we focus on in business. Number 1 is leadership. That is yours. Number 1, yours. Yes, when you slowly exit out of the business, you'll bring somebody in to be the leader. But let's just be real, for the foreseeable future, that's you. Number 2, sales and marketing, right? 2 different areas, 2 combined areas, however you want to work it. But it's marketing and sales. You need somebody that's a ninja at bringing in the leads, getting people's attention, whether you're doing paid, whether you're doing outbound, whether you're shaking hands and kissing babies, you're knocking doors, you're networking, whatever the thing is, you need somebody that's an expert in that. Sales, you need somebody that can take that interested person and guide them along the process of eventually closing them. Okay? Next one, operations. You need somebody who can manage the inner workings of the business, getting the work done. Whatever the work is that you do, you need somebody that can get the work done. Okay? The next thing, finance. You're going to need somebody who's an expert in all things finance. That's not just QuickBooks, by the way. That's helping you with job costing. That's helping make sure that your margins are where they need to be. That's making sure that your AR and your AP, accounts receivable and accounts payable, are within the thresholds that you need them to be. That's helping you forecast your financials into the future, budgeting, right? A lot of different things. And then the last thing, you need somebody in charge of your teams. Hiring, firing, training, employee incentives, all those things, right? That's a big list. But if I was to ask you right now, who's in charge of those 6 different areas, what would you tell me? Inside of your business, who's in charge of those 6 different areas? Now, I could tell you, for me, I've started to let go. Now, Jeremy, who's our financial whiz, he has an office next door. I rented one out to him on purpose. He runs all things for finance for me, right? So I've got the finance piece figured out. But everything else, I'm in charge of, right? Now, what is Anna going to help me with? Anna's going to help me with team, right? Anna's going to help me part of it with finance as well. And then kind of the back end operations of the operating side of things. Okay. So she's going to help take a lot of those things off my plate, but I'm still going to be in charge of marketing and sales for the foreseeable future. Okay. Now, where is it for you, right? Where is your team at right now? How many things are you responsible for right now? And it's not a good or a bad thing. It's just the reality of things. Okay. If you're going to hire somebody, or if you're in the process of hiring somebody, or if you've recently hired somebody, ask yourself, are they fully in control of the thing that I hired them to do? And if the answer is no, whose fault is that? Who do you have to blame? Ultimately, that's you and nobody else. So I go back to Anna. Anna's supposed to help me with these three different areas, but I haven't given her the roles and responsibilities. I haven't given her the how-to, if you will, the expectations to be able to execute on that. So again, falls back on me. Now, what I did on the plane ride back from Atlanta to Salt Lake is I wrote a Google Doc. And inside of that Google Doc, I wrote all the things that I want her to be responsible for, or that I should say she's going to be responsible for, and the how. How do I expect her to do it? So then this afternoon, when we do training, what do you think that we're going to focus on? Well, it's not going to be the randomness of like, hey, just follow me along or sit in with this client meeting. It's going to be super hyper focused so that she can take control of all of these different things and I can remove that control from off my plate. See, true growth, again, happens with your capacity to lead, not the size of your team. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Fernando, we got you, or I'm sorry, Christina, we got you. Zacharias Landscaping out of SoCal. Welcome to the show. What I would love to hear from you guys in the chat is right now, what's your biggest struggle when it comes to growing your team? It could be with current employees. It could be with the next employee that you're going to hire. It could be with the hiring process that you're currently involved in. And apparently balloons. Man, we got to figure out how to turn these things off. But what is the current thing that you're struggling with? I'll tell you that last week I had a conversation with a client of mine. He's a remodeler. And we were talking about this particular thing. He needs to hire an office manager. But when we went through and defined what we want his office manager to do, what he realized is he still wasn't clear on what he wanted the office manager to do. There was just a couple of tasks that he was doing that he didn't want to do, like answering the phone or sending invoices. So what about you? What is the thing that you're struggling with right now when it comes to either your current team, employees, a future employee or hire, or your current process? What is the thing you're struggling with? This is your chance to get your question answered. Whatever it is that you have that you're curious about, that you're struggling with, now's your chance to get it answered. Now, while I'm waiting for some of these answers to come in, this is what I'll tell you. You need a process. 100%, you need a process. So we've got Lincoln Property Solutions, first man up. We're going to answer your question. Finding good, reliable people. Now, I would love to say that good, reliable people are right around the corner. They're not. The truth is, you're going to struggle with hiring and finding good, reliable people. It's just the reality of the situation. So, number one, finding them. How do we find them? Well, this is what I'll tell you. And some of you guys might not want to hear this, but this is what I'll tell you. Most of the good people already have a job. They're already working, okay? Your job is to make yourself so attractive that somebody would want to work for you instead, okay? Now, some of you guys will be like, but that's poaching. Call it what you want to call it, right? In the corporate world, it happens all the time. They have recruiters that will go and they will search out somebody who has the right resume, if you will, and they will go headhunt. They will say, hey, look, here's an opportunity for you type thing. So don't be afraid if you're looking for, let's say, a project manager, for example, and you've got clear roles and responsibilities. If you see a guy working for another company and you're like, man, that guy's got it together, I want to see if he wants to work for me, then go have a conversation with him. He's going to tell you one of two things, no thanks, or let's talk, right? But if you're going to look for good, reliable people, the cheat code is they're probably already employed. So that's the first place that you need to look. Daniel says, need to replace myself and my father from sales roles. Awesome. Salespeople are, well, let me take this back. Good salespeople are hard to find. You'll find people with quote unquote sales experience, right? But good salespeople are hard to find. So you're going to have to find them. Okay. Now there's a couple different ways to do this. Same thing. There's a lot of people who have cut their teeth knocking doors. And I've found in my experience, the people who have knocked doors are some of the best salespeople. Why? Because they have to deal with rejection after rejection after rejection after rejection. And they learn to just shrug it off. Okay. So you want to go see or poke around with people who already have sales experience inside of that role. Okay. Now that's the first step. The second thing though, is how do you find out if they're a good salesperson? Well, there's a real easy way to do it, especially in the world that we're in. Find something. I just happen to have a little thing of Zip Fizz here. Find something, a pen, a Zip Fizz, a cell phone, whatever, hand it to them, and then tell them, sell this to me. If they can't sell that to you, what makes you think that they're going to be a good salesperson? Just saying, right? Again, cut to the chase. If they can't do the thing you want them to do, what makes you think that training them and spending all the time, money, and energy and attention on them is going to work out, especially for sales? All right, next one. Fernando says, I need my husband to understand that in order to get the process of growth, he needs to learn English or get into programs like I do in Spanish. That's a really interesting one. I will tell you that you are not wrong, right? I think this is Christina. So Christina, here's the key, right? There's two ways to do it. He either stays in the operations side of things, so on the job site with the crews, and finds somebody who can play that role, or exactly what you just said. He needs to learn English so that he can get out there and build the relationships that he needs to build in order to grow the business, right? Those are the only two options. Now, I know you say you need your husband to understand that, but I'm married too, and it's really hard to get your spouse to understand that. You're going to have to figure out what's the best way for me and him to grow the business. Like, what is he comfortable doing? Right? So you have to figure out how to get him to understand that. And by the way, Christina, there is nothing wrong with you taking over that sales role, with you being the face of the company. There's nothing wrong with that. You could be super comfortable with that, especially if you're in the commercial space, right, with landscaping. But ultimately, you're going to need to, and we're in the US, and I get it, right? I'm not going to say it's an advantage, but it's an advantage if you speak English, right? So if you have to take over that role temporarily or even permanently, or you need to find somebody else that can help you with the sales portion of it, and he just worries about operations, make sure the work gets done, then so be it. Let's see, what else do we have in here? So we've got, Melissa says, having split roles, hands-on labor, and some light sales, we're growing but cannot afford both yet. Totally get it. So Melissa, which one is the one that you want to take care of first, that you want to hand off first? Is it labor or is it sales? When you figure that out, what you're going to realize, and when we had our workshop, by the way, here's a story for you. When we had our workshop, we had one of our mentors in our group, Tim Brown. He does about $15 million a year. He'll end up clearing, so net profit, about $2.5 million this year, which is a substantial amount, right? Well, we're sitting here talking about teams, and we're talking about, hiring a consultant and everything inside of it. And he goes, let me tell you just one thing. If you're even thinking it, stroke the check. That was his term, stroke the check. Whether it's hiring a consultant to help you run your business, or hiring that next salesperson or that office admin or whoever it is, stroke the check. He goes, because it's going to force you to do the thing that you already know you need to do. So Melissa, in your case, is it hands-on or labor? What's the most important side of your business that you want to help with? If it's labor, which I believe it's probably labor, cool, stroke the check. Find the person, not just any person, but find the person that can help you grow on that labor side of things, doing the remodels, project management, whatever the thing is, so that you can then focus your energy and attention more on sales, bringing in more business. Could be the other way around, okay? But just pick one. Pick one, write the check. Christina said he's driving me nuts. I'm not going to get involved in that because I may or may not drive my own wife nuts. Daniel gives us a good old thumbs up. Christina says, I can grow it. I already do. Plus, I'm the only owner of it. Cool. Then don't try and force your husband into it. Put him in charge of the jobs. Make him the best project manager ever. And you go out and keep growing the business, period. He's not going to, if he doesn't want to learn English, he's not going to learn English. I know you want him to. He's not going to. So quit trying to make him. Make him the best project manager ever. And then Christina says, I do all of my marketing and we're in the number one position in landscaping across 5 cities for the past 4 years. Boom. Awesome. Well done. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. All right. We're going to wrap things up here. This is what I want you to understand, okay? You can't attack all your problems at once. You can only take one at a time. So my invitation to you is find the one issue right now inside of your organization when it comes to your people that you need to address. Either it's firing somebody because they're underperforming or hiring the right person so that you can relieve yourself of that role, okay? Do the thing that you need to do, but make sure ahead of time you have clear roles and responsibilities, not inside of your head, that are written out that someone can follow so that you can bring the right person in, you can train them, let go of that role, and keep growing your business. All right. You guys know what time it is. It's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1.